This is the Kestrel Country Podcast, where we discuss the people, places, and events all around Kestrel Country. Hello and welcome to another episode of the Kestrel Country Podcast. I'm your host, Mike Church, joined here once again by my lovely wife and co-host, Catherine.
Hello, hello.
And we are coming to you from smoky North Idaho.
It's very smoky this year.
Well, actually, today was great.
It blew away some of it. We had a hot morning, and then all of a sudden, the wind picked up and a little bit of rain.
A little bit of rain. Yeah. Even had a fire on Moscow Mountain this week.
Yeah.
That was a little scary, but they got on it right away, got that thing put out. So, yeah, grateful for that.
It's been so dry this summer. Super hot, super dry for Moscow. Which
we actually talk about in the upcoming interview as it relates to wine, what this kind of weather does to wine. So had the opportunity to interview Lane Hewett with Rivaura.
Down in the Juliaetta area. This is actually interview 2. I didn't get to go on this interview, but the first time I did, and it was excellent. So the first interview was fantastic, and we learned a lot.
Way better than the one with just me.
That's not what I meant.
No, we had a great interview, went down, brought all the equipment, and then the audio did not work. We didn't end up getting any decent audio out of it. Just series of unfortunate events.
Yeah, it was mishaps, but
Lane was really gracious to allow us to come back. Catherine couldn't make it today, but I went down to their winery. If you haven't been, you've got to go check it out. It is an incredible piece of property. We talk a little bit about it in the interview, but it just doesn't do it justice to talk about it.
No,
it's
you need to see it.
Beautiful spot overlooking the Clearwater River.
Hence the name.
Yeah, just off of Highway 12 there, east of Lewiston, just south of Juliaetta. It's about a 45-minute drive from Moscow. And really, either way.
The distance to Lewiston.
Yeah, so it's like 10 minutes from Lewiston. So it's really not far at all outside of Lewiston. The first time we went down, we drove through Kendrick, Juliaetta that way, and it's really about the same time-wise unless you get stuck behind a grain truck on the Kendrick grade, which is what happened. So today when I went down through Lewiston, nice easy drive, pretty drive, it's but you got to go check out their place. Their tasting room is gorgeous. Everything they've done, whether it's their marketing, their labels, whether it's their tasting room, the actual space, the quality of their wines, they've just really done it all really, really well. And it's cool to have that right in our backyard.
Oh, it's gorgeous. And if you have the opportunity they do events sometimes, if they'll get a food truck in there sometimes, and they've made their hours fit the area and fit the need. So,
they're open a little later than your typical winery.
Yeah.
And I don't know about you, but I really felt like it was one of those experiences, and there's a few places like this around where you feel like, man, I'm not on the Palouse anymore.
Yeah.
Like it's just really, really nice. They've done a great job. And they're constantly improving it. So,
yeah. When you get the opportunity, go on down. So this interview, Mike explains it again with Lane, and I haven't heard it yet.
Yeah, it's really good. Oh, the other thing I was going to say, which we talk about down there, their hours and where to find their wines, but locally too, you can get it at Sarah's wine shop here, Vine, in downtown Moscow.
Main Street. Yep.
She carries a little bit of it. But it's definitely worth a drive to go down, check out what they've got going on. Really fun. And hopefully we'll see more of this kind of thing too. Lane and I talk a little bit about that. Be great to see some more growth of the AVA down there, some more Idaho wines in this area. So anyway, hope you guys enjoy learning about Rivaura, and head on down there, join their wine club, and enjoy some good Idaho wines. Just like that. Well, thanks, Lane.
Yeah, of
Appreciate
course.
you taking the time. So I guess let's start out by telling us a little bit about where we're sitting right now.
Yeah, so Rivaura, we are located just about 10 miles outside of Lewiston, Idaho, between Juliaetta and Lewiston. We sitting right along the Clearwater River. We've got about 30 acres of planted vines, and our tasting room is just perched right on top of the Clearwater, and that's where we're sitting right now.
Yeah, it's awesome. Well, today it's a little bit stormy, a little bit smoky, a little dark, but obviously incredible views out here. So tell us about that 30 acres. What's the history behind it? When did you guys get into wine?
Yeah, so back in the 50s, my great-grandparents moved to the little section here, and it wasn't until 2014 that we started this whole idea to jump into the vineyard and the winemaking. So back in 14, we decided to turn the alfalfa fields into vineyards. We've got about 10 different varietals now, pretty much a big Bordeaux and Rhones. We planted in 16, and then our first harvest was in 2018. And we're just now finished the 20 vintage, just about to get into the 2021 vintage.
Wow. So 1950s until just a few years ago, this was alfalfa fields, kind of ranch kind of land?
Yeah, so we still run cattle, but growing up, it was always cattle. There's construction company in the family, but even before that, like my great-grandparents, grandparents, there was a lot of logging in the family as well. Not so much anymore. But yeah, these were primarily alfalfa fields. There's a few part of the vineyards that were just kind of untouched land, some steeper stuff that we have that produces some really cool fruit. So
down here, was it always irrigated when it was alfalfa as well, or?
It was irrigated. We've got wells on top of the hill, but not irrigated as crazy as we're irrigating these vines. The system that we have now is pretty complex. It's pretty cool.
So do you, speaking of irrigation, I know one thing that we're dealing with in Moscow this year, we got a lot of wells failing, all kinds of problems with the drought. How much well production do you guys have down here? What does it take to irrigate vines? Yeah,
we're set up really nice. Last year, we irrigated once or twice because we had, it was a pretty wet year. And
okay. So they don't necessarily take water all year.
No, not if, it totally depends on the year. Whereas this year we've almost had to drip every day something because it's been so insanely hot. Getting up into those high 90s, even mid 90s to the, low hundreds like we've been. It was 100 and almost 15 one day or something crazy like that. It's ridiculous. So we've been having to irrigate a lot more this year than we ever have.
Do you have cisterns? Do you have holding tanks for that stuff, or do your wells support?
Yeah, so we have wells, and then like across the river, we pump it up into holding tanks, way up on the hill so that we can gravity flow, gravity irrigate everything. So we have a lot of unlimited pressure for the most part, which is super helpful.
Okay. So 30 acres, that's split between both sides of the river?
Yep, between both sides of the river. The side of the river that the tasting room was on, we got about 16 acres over here across the river, closer to 13, 14 acres. Cool. So,
and all your wine is grown here?
Yep. Yeah, that's one of the things we definitely wanted to pride ourselves on when we started, was 100% estate. So everything that we'll ever do should be grown right here. So.
Wow.
Yeah.
How much does that limit you? Can you grow kind of anything you want in a place like this, or?
Yeah, we're pretty lucky. We can grow plenty. Like I was saying right now with our 10 varietals, pretty much all your Bordeaux and Rhones. And then we just planted a little bit of Sauvignon Blanc as well. And we're talking about planting a few other cool things that might be in the works as well. So we're just in a really nice spot where there's not a whole lot of, limitations to what we can do, which is nice.
Okay. So 2014, you guys started down that process. And then you said Did you say you planted first in 2016?
Yep, planted in 2016.
Okay, so what was that 2 years? What was going on then?
Yeah, so a lot of running soil tests, a lot of learning just about, the trellis system, how we're going to go about the plants, ordering what's going where, getting the trellis in, finding the crews to help us do that. Because we didn't know much, coming into it. So it's kind of, you start to rely on people that you can find that are supposedly, well known in the industry and know what they're doing, and then just try and learn from them.
Gotcha. Yeah. So where did you pull most of that knowledge from? Where, I guess, how did that happen?
Yeah.
How did you guys get into it?
Yeah. So back in 2014, this would have been, I think it was my dad's idea. So the founders would have been Reese, my dad, my cousin's dad, my uncle would be Uncle Ron, and then our grandfather, Ron. And they all live right here on the property. We all grew up right here.
That's awesome.
But back in 2014, when it all kind of started, my dad we always wanted this something, more than just, it's a pretty awesome spot, more than alfalfa fields, just farmland. So he reached out sent a picture to Kevin Pogue, who's a world-renowned geologist over at Whitman in Walla Walla. And as soon as he saw the picture, he got with our now winemaker, Billo, who's a master of wine, and Steve Robertson, who's another kind of big wig in Walla Walla. And all three of them came down like the following weekend after seeing the picture, and were blown away and started running soil tests, and they all wanted to kind of work with us, and the ball just never stopped rolling from there. It was like, all right, it's game on. So
it was all Walla Walla connection. That was kind of a lot of what got
for
it started.
sure. Yep. Yeah. Okay.
So then where were you in 2014? How did you end up getting into the family wine business?
So 14, I graduated high school, I think in 14. So I might have just started going to the University of Idaho. Only went there for a year because we'd come back on the weekends and help start putting in irrigation or whatever it may be. And then Vince and I, so my cousin Vince, the other winemaker, our vineyard manager, we were both like, seems like a pretty good opportunity. So we decided to head to Walla Walla, and luckily got in the winemaking program over there, the viticulture and enology program. And then went through that and just been working in the industry ever since. So
that's awesome.
Yeah.
So the first year, 2016, how many acres did you start with, and how much wine did that produce?
Yeah. In 2016, or I guess 2018 would have been the first vintage. We decided to do about 1,000 cases. If we went full production with everything we have and wanted to keep quality still, we could probably do about 5,000 cases, maybe 5,500
out of the 30 acres.
Mm-hmm.
Is that fairly standard?
It's quite a bit of wine. Yeah. I mean, it's definitely, it's a good amount. Whereas even, our first year in 18, we did 1,000 cases, thinking, as a new winery, you're like, okay, the number one thing you don't want's way too much inventory.
Yeah.
A lot of people, even over there, were telling us, okay, do 100 cases your first year. But it was like, okay, we put so much work into everything just to watch all the fruit go on the ground or leave it on the vine, feed it to the birds, whatever. It's just like, no, we got to at least do some. And so we did 1,000 thinking, okay, that's a lot for a first year. Hopefully we get through that. And it wasn't 3 months and we had no wine.
Wow.
So it kind of...
And that was pretty much all sold right here out of the tasting room.
Out of the tasting room, which then we were kicking ourselves for not picking more. So then in the 19 vintage, we upped our production to about 3,000 cases. And then in the 20 vintage, the stuff that's in barrel now will be probably 3,500, 4,000 cases. Yeah.
How did you burn through those 1,000 cases? Was it mostly word of mouth? Were you guys doing a lot of advertising?
Yeah. Word of mouth. The biggest thing is, if anyone ever sees our location, it kind of just promoted itself. And I think it kind of took off because a lot of people take pictures with the view in the background, and people are just like, oh, where's this? And we started seeing, almost right off the bat, a lot of people coming out to check it out. So, and Lewiston's pretty small. I think people, it's not small, but people think, oh, there's probably not a lot. There's not a lot to do in Lewiston. It's a little bit older of a community, yada, 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 kind of in a weird spot, but it's I think there's a lot more people in the area that are looking for stuff to do and that are outgoing. Like, so if things like this pop up, I think there's a lot more potential than people think.
Were you tracking sales at all? Do you know, like most of the people coming through, were they local people or was it coming from out of the area?
Yeah, a lot of them were local, but also a lot Moscow, Pullman area. So within, 30-mile radius or whatever. But it was kind of during the middle, we had to open right in the heart of COVID. You spend 8 years prepping to open. Oh, man. And then of course it's June of 20, which is right in the heart of COVID, and you didn't really have a choice. So we did the best we could. Thankfully, we have a big outdoor space, so that was pretty helpful. Kind of make people feel like they're spaced out. So we got a lot of people just driving by that would come in, and they kept saying, "Oh, this is our COVID vacation." And they were just driving through Idaho. Yeah, people from everywhere. It was nuts.
Campgrounds were all full last year.
It was crazy.
Oh, yeah. So what did, was Walla Walla kind of shut down at that time when you guys opened?
Yep. Yeah, they were pretty shut down.
So being over here in Idaho is probably helpful. You get a little less.
I think so too. Restrictive. Yeah. Especially during that time when there's nothing to do. A lot of people were coming to Idaho, and we were kind of this new thing that people could go and check out. Yeah. So
last year's your first year, 1,000 cases. You said you have 10 varietals now?
Yeah, we've got 10 varietals.
Were they all bottled, or how many varietals did you start with?
We only opened with six wines. Okay. And now I think we have 10 right now. Viognier, Rosé, Grenache, Merlot, Cab, Syrah, Malbec, Reserve Syrah, Reserve Cab Blend, Reserve Blend. I think that's 10.
Okay. So what's the mix like? Is one your best seller? Do you bottle more of certain varietals than others? How does that factor in when you're looking at so many different varietals?
Yeah. It just kind of goes into part of it's, okay, what do people tend to drink the most of? So we're finding obviously cabs. People are always drawn to those. But a little bit of it comes down to how many acres we have of that specific varietal. The other thing goes into a little bit of awards, which ones are winning the most awards. You're start seeing those to sell more. And for us, we only have 2 whites, the Viognier and I guess the Rosé. Yeah. And so they're trying to make that go all year because you only have, that certain amount. So you try and make as much production of that as you can so that the people that come in that like white wines, we have enough. Soon we'll have Sauvignon Blanc, so that'll be really nice.
That'll be next year?
Mm-hmm. Okay. Yeah. And then you run into for us, our River Ranch Red Blend, it's delicious, but that's kind of that entry level. We make quite a bit of it. It's a little bit more price appropriate, affordable wine. It's great. And then you run into the next level up, which would be our reserves, which are kind of that top tier, and get some pretty serious wine people that come in and they're really enjoying those.
What makes it a reserve? Is that just a marketing label, or is there a definition like estate to reserve?
Yeah, so estate reserves. So not only is it vineyard, specific spots in the vineyard. So for our Reserve Syrah, we have 2 Syrahs. The Reserve Syrah is grown up in some of the steepest, rockiest stuff we have. Okay. We do this Rhone style trellis where this trellis system's really low to the ground. So it is a pain to farm, but it makes for an awesome wine. It's just this big, full bodied, super dense Syrah. And not only that, but we use, our barrel program's pretty intense. So, thankfully our head winemaker, Billo, he's got all these connections. So we get there's this one spot we get barrels from where they send, I think it's 25 barrels into the States a year. We get 2 of them. Wow. And, those barrels are definitely going towards the reserve.
So what lineup. You said they're hard to, that's really a pain to farm. What makes it It's steep. So you're doing everything by hand, or can you still use tractor?
It's steep. And like when we're picking, you're sitting on your butt sliding down the hill.
Oh, wow. That's steep.
It's steep. Up there, it's basically, those vines are living off water. If you look at the color of the vines up there compared to everything else is green and lush. It's yellow up there. It's just, it's something crazy going on. It's pretty cool.
Wow. So, and you said that's the reserve Syrah, and then you've got some that's grown on the other side of the river. Mm-hmm. That's right.
Yep.
And what kind of different characteristics do you get from each one?
Yeah. So that's the cool thing is so many, they're completely different wines, and the only difference is they're grown on different sides of the river. So across the river, the Syrah over there was grown where we used to have a cornfield. So over the years, that the nutrients in the soil, super high in nitrogen, super high pH soil. And so when we get that and see that in the wines, you get these really reductive notes. So it's earthy, meaty, mushroom. So the style of wine I love a lot. Whereas across the river or back over here towards the tasting room, you've got that really rocky, just condensed. The fruit struggles, sees a lot of sun, and it's just this big tannin, lot of big dark fruit. Whereas the other one, is that more earthy side of things, and they couldn't be different, which is super cool.
Yeah, that's crazy. You can get that on one winery.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. So what's speaking of sun and everything else, this year super hot and dry.
Yes.
What does that do to the grapes? So to this vintage that we'll have 2021.
Yeah. So earlier this summer, spring, things were looking awesome. It was hot early in the year. Things were tracking perfectly, and then it started getting crazy hot. And when you get too warm, like we've been the last month, things start to shut down. So if it's too hot, the vine's like, nah, this is too hot. We're just going to chill. So hopefully we get back on track. We were thinking harvest will be a little bit earlier, but now we're looking to be about the same as last year.
Oh, really?
Just because it's been so hot. But
and when is that? So what's typical for when harvest?
So yeah, it'll be September.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. The thing we're struggling with right now is it's so smoky. So we're worried about smoke taint.
And can that ruin wine, or is it just, it's going to add some extra? It's not like Scotch where you want a little smoke.
Yes, exactly. It depends on how you look at it. It's not great. But everywhere is going to struggle with it here. Walla Walla. And it's varietal specific too.
Okay.
Some are more susceptible to smoke taint. It depends on how close the fires are, what time of like the year, earlier in the year, or later in the year, for like the length of the fruit growing. So if it's earlier in the year, before the skins are developed, you'll definitely see a little bit more smoke taint. If the skins are already developed and it's getting closer to harvest, you're a little bit less susceptible to see the smoke taint in your wine. So we'll see, because it's been about a month now. We've been pretty sopped in with smoke every day, it seems like. So,
and it's been earlier than normal for us anyway.
Yes. So fingers crossed. Did
that affect Napa? A few years ago they had all those fires down there.
Yeah, for sure.
Are those wines bottled now?
Yeah.
Some of them?
Some of them. I know, I guess it kind of depends. Some people can try and use it, as like a marketing technique. Oh, this is the vintage of, and I think that could work. But when it gets to a certain point, if a wine is hit really hard by it, is it worth even bottling and spending all the money to, get the glass, the corks, everything that goes into the bottling, or just dump it, know? So
man, that'd be tough. So you mentioned some awards. You guys have only had wine this year, last year. How does that work? And what awards have you guys won?
Yeah. So we're kind of focusing on sending our wines to some pretty big wine critics. So some recent ones, we just got, thanks to Billow again, we're able to get our wines in some of these guys' hands. So Jeb DeBunk, we just scored, we sent him our Rhone varietals. Everything scored, above a 90, and both our Syrahs scored 94s. And from him for a first year is pretty awesome. So we're super stoked about that. And then we actually just had Owen Bargreen, who's one of the biggest in the Northwest critics. He actually came down and we wined and dined him and hung out with him, and he went through and tasted our wines. And once again, everything was 90 and above. So it's pretty cool. We're pretty stoked about that. Hopefully
that's awesome.
Keep those going up every year.
So do those get published someplace?
Yeah. You can find them on both of their websites.
Okay. And then that gives you guys, just kind of gives you credibility.
Yeah, for sure. Yep. It goes, on a point. It's not a medaled score. It's a point system. So
how's the reaction been from, you're saying that some people in Walla Walla were telling you, do 100 cases your first year, and you guys sell out of 1,000. Are they surprised at what's going on over here and kind of taking notice of Idaho a little bit more?
I definitely think so. Yeah, for sure. We'll go over, Vince and I, if we're going, to taste the barrels, because our barrels are stored over there. And we'll go places and people will be like, oh yeah, we've actually heard of you guys. Or we get people that will come from Walla Walla over here and they're blown away. So it's pretty cool to see, especially when we're, super busy out here on whatever day it is, and they come out like, wow, something's going on. So yeah, it makes you feel pretty good.
That's awesome. So how many, we're in is it Lewis Clark AVA?
Yep. Lewis Clark Valley AVA.
And how long has that been around as a designation? Do you know?
I want to say it started maybe in 2016.
Okay.
15 or 16, I would say, I think.
So the whole
positive,
area
but
is pretty,
yes.
It's pretty new.
It's pretty new, yeah.
Yeah. Do you know how many wineries there are around here now?
I want to say 10 in the Lewis Clark Valley AVA, but like the Boise area, there's a few AVAs down there. There's probably closer to 40, 50 maybe. Okay. So we're getting up there in Idaho alone, but
yeah,
I would like to see another 5 to 10 down in the Lewis Clark Valley. I think it'd really start to put us on the map if we get a few more. And I know there's a lot of people coming out here looking for spots to plant vineyards, so it would definitely be good for the whole Idaho industry. So
yeah. Are many of the others around here doing estate wines, growing them here?
Yeah, there's a few. Coulter's Creek has a nice sized vineyard. Clearwater Canyon has a vineyard. So yeah, there's definitely a few that are doing some estate wines, which is really cool. And we just need to get some more acreage, people planting out here, and be awesome.
Yeah, I imagine a lot of it's just a mentality shift. Everybody's been doing the same thing for so long.
Yes.
Doing it that way. I know with farmers, it's like that.
Exactly. Yep.
This is the way Dad did it. This is the way I'm doing it.
100%. Yeah. That's why it's nice. We got Vince, the vineyard manager. He's more the brains of everything, science, chemistry guy, and he's really dialing everything in. Whereas, it's like our parents do. It's like, oh, just spray everything. It'll be fine. Extra spray. And he's dialing back on everything and taking, I think, the vineyard in a way that it's definitely going to be better than it ever has been. So I'm excited to see all his new little techniques.
That's cool.
Which will be pretty cool.
So how many people, what does it take to run a 30-acre winery? How many people do you guys have? I imagine it's seasonal, but how many people does it take to work all those vines?
So that's a tough question, because sometimes, we'll find the help, and we'll bring in a crew. If we're getting so busy with everything else, it's hard to be out there and be, at the tasting room. And so if we can find a crew to come, a decent crew will come and knock it out, in a week. Whereas there's times we can't find anyone and there's 4 of us out there, and it would take us at least a month. Like right now we're fruit thinning right now. So we're dropping fruit. And you have to go through the entire vineyard, and we had 4 people, and there's no way it'd be harvest time by the time we got through everything. So we're just kind of scrounging up whoever we can right now, because of the crew we usually get is already busy and wasn't able to make it over. So we've just, whoever family, friends, we can somehow talk into coming out and helping, we'll take it. So that's kind of how we've been getting through everything, because most of our stuff is all hand done. So the only thing that we do mechanically is spraying and leaf thinning. So, yeah.
So fruit thinning, you're trying to concentrate what's going into to fewer grapes, basically?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Yep. Let the vine put all its energy into the few clusters that are there, instead of, the amount of clusters, the crazy amount of clusters.
So how much do you thin? What do you take it down?
Yeah. 50%? So we take it down about 50%. So, currently, it's about, there's 6 spurs on each side of our vine. So there's 2 shoots per spur. There's 2 clusters per shoot, and we're taking it down to 1 clusters per shoot.
Okay.
So we're looking at about 2.5, depending on the varietal, maybe 3 tons an acre. So,
wow.
Yeah.
So that's going on now. And then is it kind of wait till harvest? Do you have, what else goes on kind of between now and harvest?
Between now and harvest, it's the fruit thinning. Once you get through that, pretty much going to start is we're going through veraison right now, which is when the fruit takes on its color. Okay. So as soon as we get a little closer here, we'll start going through and sampling and starting to get our brix sugar levels and see where everything's at, and trying to get it dialed in. And I'm assuming Vince will start doing some cluster weights and trying to figure out exactly what direction we're going. So
is that for timing harvest, basically?
Yeah. Yeah. You can start to, we'll go out and do it maybe once a week. As it gets closer, a lot more than that. And you can start to see what's moving along, what's not moving along. And if you need to adjust something, we can do that. So,
and is that a lot of what goes into the quality of the wine, is timing that, making sure that you're harvesting at the right time?
Yeah, for sure. Okay. And I think a lot of people do it different. So, sometimes, like for us, you can go through and look at the numbers, right? And say, oh, okay, this is going to have this much alcohol. I think it's ready to go. Whereas some people, they'll go all by taste, and they'll go through, which our head winemaker likes to do. He'll come out, taste, and when he thinks it's ready to pick, it's ready to pick. Gotcha. He's not necessarily, he's looking at it a little bit, but he's not just relying on that. So
he'll come over from Walla Walla, taste, and then you guys, how long does it take to harvest 30 acres? What's that?
So it depends on the year and the weather. Because you're not picking everything at once. You're doing, block by block. So like, last year we got like an October freeze. So it would have been nice if we wouldn't have got that, because you can keep letting things ripen and picking stuff when you want, when it's ready, when you think it's ready. Whereas that freeze, it's like, okay, now everything needs to get off the vine like quick. So you're like scramble mode to try and just get everything off. Whereas like, coming up this year, our rosé will be first. Light alcohol. We're just gonna, pick stuff to make a rosé. So that's usually what comes up first, and then your earlier ripening varietals to your later ripening varietals.
Okay. And then how long? So with the rosé, does that get bottled and sold the next year?
Yeah. So we'll bottle rosé in December. Yep. Yeah.
Okay.
And so it'll
what's your
next
so
year.
That one's the next year. What's your longest kind of delay between harvest and when stuff gets bottled?
All our Bordeaux.
And how long is that? How many?
Our Bordeaux are in barrel for 18 months.
Okay.
So, whereas our Rhones are in there for 16, I want to say.
Okay. Yeah. So this next year you'll be selling, or this year right now you're selling 2019s?
Yep, 2019s, which, I mean, they're definitely a little young, but if I was up to me, we'd be waiting another year from right now to start selling the 19s.
Okay.
But we don't have any wine.
Yeah.
So, I mean, they're tasting delicious.
Are you starting to get enough production to where you can hold off a little bit longer?
That's the hope. It's the hope, but it's also not the hope. It would be nice. That's the main goal is as soon as a wine is put in bottle, it's already, build your wine club, get that pre-sold wine, is essentially what it is. But yeah, so.
Yeah. So you've got a couple of reserves, the Insomniac, Reserve Cab, that are not out yet. Is that right?
Yeah, they're not out yet. We need to release them, but.
When's that happen? This fall?
This fall, yeah.
Okay.
Sometime. Yeah.
Fun. So what else do you have going on here at the tasting room? What can people come and do and come and see?
Yeah, this summer's been awesome. Everybody can come on out. We do live music now once a week, which is a lot of fun. We're definitely starting to do a lot of events. Especially we're growing our wine club like crazy, and we have so many awesome places, vineyard wise, little event spots, and we're doing a lot of parties with those guys, staying busy in the vineyard, busy at the tasting room. Now that we're open Wednesday through Sunday, a lot of food trucks coming out. We do our little bit of food, but it's a small kitchen, so it's hard when there's a ton of people to be able to keep up. So
do you guys have food trucks every week, certain days of the week, or is it just
usually on like the music nights and things like that? Yeah.
And so do you have people go to your website to find that info?
Yeah, website, social media, send it out in our emails.
Is it Rivaura.com?
Yep.
Just Rivaura.com.
Yep.
We didn't even talk about that. How did you guys come up with the name?
Oh yeah.
Where's Rivaura
so it's a made up name. We were out planting one day, way back, and somebody was looking out over the Clearwater up where we were planting, and they were kind of like, oh man, there's kind of an aura to this place. So sense of destination. And then it just kind of clicked. We're like, okay, that's perfect. Put the words river, because we're right on the river, and aura, sense of destination, put them together, and Rivaura. And then we really tried to play with like our label and make it kind of play along with the name, and really take, especially like our tasting room, you notice it's all windows because it's all about the view and where we're at. So I think it spoke pretty well to us.
That's awesome. Well, it seems to be working. So that's good.
Yeah.
So the tasting room here, this used to be a house?
Yeah, this was a house built in 2002. And then gentleman moved out of here a few years ago now, because our tasting room was going to be across the river. And as soon as this house became available, we were like, okay, that's a spot. So just
I imagine ripped it up. Made a huge difference in the business.
Yes, yes.
Not that it's not pretty over there, but
exactly.
The view from here is amazing.
Yeah.
Huh. So what do you have going on the other side of the river? Yeah, some event space over there.
Yeah, we've got an event barn over there. So it's this old rustic bull barn. It used to be a bull barn, and we just kind of redid that and poured some nice stamped concretes right in the middle of the vineyard. So we do a lot of events over there. There's been weddings, there's birthday parties, whatever you name it. We have a harvest party there this Saturday night for all like the pickers that help us. Kind of like a throwing a pre-harvest, like thanks for coming last year. Come to this party. Please come back this year. We
need help.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah.
So what do you guys do, like vineyard tours, anything like that as well, or?
We haven't really done any vineyard tours yet. It's definitely on things we need to do and get set up. I mean, if people come, like, can we come check out the vineyard? You know, we're like, somebody will be out here. We'll show you around. But I would like to set up an actual vineyard tour day where people can come out and we'll take them through. It's just a matter of getting that set up and going.
Time and energy.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But
so what does your day-to-day look like? You're working in the vineyard some, and then organizing things here at the tasting room.
Yep. Yeah. A little bit in the vineyard when they need help. So try and get out there as much as possible, not as much as Vince, he's pretty much out there, seems like 24/7. If he needs help out there, kind of helping with that. And then usually back here, either tasting room stuff, the back end stuff, event planning. And then we kind of come together for the winemaking, Vince and I. And,
So do you have to spend time in Walla Walla while that's going on?
Yeah, we'll go down about once a month, taste those things. We just got done working on our blending trials for the 20 vintage. So last week we were all in here tasting a bunch of different things, and yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah.
So what's next for Rivaura? You guys have some other years. You mentioned you might be bringing on some more wines. Do you have any other plans for the property, the space here?
Yeah, as of now, we're kind of just trying to continue what we're doing for the time being. We're pretty bogged down with madness right now. We've just been so busy with harvest coming up and the tasting room, and we don't have a whole lot of employees. We pretty much rely on family. And so this summer we've had all the cousins back from college. So it's been really nice, but 2 weeks from now, they're all leaving.
Yeah.
So as soon as we get that figured out, get through harvest. Yeah. We're planning on, putting a new, another bar section in downstairs. We're working on putting a stage up actually, right out here right now, and a big new stair section. Yeah, so that'll probably be looking into the future, and then possibly, new vines, a few new varietals. Yeah, that's the plan. So,
nice. So last question, what's your favorite wine that you guys make?
Oh man. I'm definitely a fan of our Syrah, the earthy Syrah. But I'm a big fan of like Rocks District Walla Walla wines, which is that reduction, just meaty, kind of earthy, a lot of minerality. And I think ours resembles that a lot. And so I definitely lean towards that one.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's awesome. So, well, thanks very much.
Yeah.
Appreciate
thank you.
Yeah,
and, of course.
We'll come on down. You guys got to come visit this place just to see how beautiful it is. And you guys be open. Are you open all year?
Yep. Open all year, Wednesday through Sunday. Our winter hours will change a little bit, but we'll be open. So yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, thanks very much.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thanks for joining us. Like, share, subscribe. We'll see you next week.